Recording in progress.
You're on the GEODC board, is that correct?
Yep.
This is your official cheat sheet. For me. Rachel Maddox Hughes, Joe Purnell from Rural Prosperity Partners, and Susan Christensen from GEODC.
Thank you. We should have an updated agenda, like I said, with that correspondence added to it, but it is Wednesday, October 18th at 9:30 a.m. County Court's in session for accounts payable bill review. What do you want to tackle first there?
Bigger one first here.
Note for the record that Commissioner Shellman is not going to be here today. She already had indicated that she would be absent today for other commitments, so
Now, tomorrow night, you and she will be there and I will zoom in on being Boise for that water sewer crane public meeting.
okay. Yeah, she planned on being there?
I mean, I don't know, but I know I will have to zoom in.
Okay, all right. Yeah, we'll have Zoom set up. Probably use the,
And I have to remember the time change, so.
we'll probably, I'll just create an event for it so it has its own and we'll send it out.
Okay, sounds good.
For the eyes.
Yep. With Commissioner Shulman, she said a rulemaking session somewhere for something. Do you know what it's for?
I don't recall. I think it was supposed to be in Lakeview.
Yeah, I think it is. I just didn't know what the entity was that's making the rules.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. You know how long the carpet installation is gonna be going on downstairs?
I haven't heard. I know the installer was sick last week, so I
Okay.
put him a week behind.
Okay. Just curious. And I see
Yeah.
that it was addressed. I just wondered if
And
that's.
the individual came in and paid cash. And they gave him the bill for the taxes also. That one's not so bad. It's really just all the, well, the winnings, the purses and stuff, whatever, for first place, second place, whatever, all that kind of stuff.
Oh, okay.
The first sheet on here basically has it all in order, and then all these follow that order.
Are these
And these are
ordered?
just the actual invoices, basically.
Okay.
So it's not that tough. It looks ominous, but
Okay. Great. So when we record these meetings, if there's a presentation that gets shown on our screen, is there a way to capture that? Or is that captured in the recording? Because I don't think I've ever seen that.
yeah, I don't think in the past, you have to share the screen, I believe.
I don't know.
Yeah, and I think when you share it, then it becomes part of the recording. So if they have a presentation, I'll
I think they're
Try
not
and
gonna
share
go
it.
into the detail that they did yesterday for the broadband action team meeting, but if we don't have a lot on the agenda and if, you know, if they had a few things they could bring up as far as the map of what the areas that are potentially eligible for this federal and state funding and stuff. I think it was helpful to see all that. Brandon McMullen was it, he's on the bat and he was there and that was good. And we had the two gentlemen from My Wave were there in person. And Ryan Bailey from Harney County Economic Development. We didn't have a lot of people at the table, but we had some really good representation on partners that needed to be there.
And I had, yesterday afternoon when we did the tour of the,
Oh, yeah.
Lincoln Building.
How was that?
Good. Lights were all turned on, it's a good view of everything and whatnot. And,
Someone had told me months ago that they thought there was some leakage down in the old gym.
there is a section, about a, I don't know, 4 foot section in the boards in the gym floor that because of moisture have buckled up.
Okay.
There's about, I don't know, 4 boards that are affected, 3 or 4 board, lengths that are affected by it. And I don't know if it was moisture that, seeped from foundation under, or if there was some kind of a leak in the pipe, but I mean, the damage is so contained in one spot that I kind of think
So it's
maybe,
been that way and it hasn't spread or continued on.
yeah. But I kind of think maybe it was just from moisture coming from underneath the foundation, maybe because it's on that back side of the school. And that back side of the school and the gym downstairs is sub ground level. So
What's your daughter like in college?
good. She's back here. She's going to school online.
Oh, I think you told me that.
Yeah, she had a hard time finding a job up in LeGrand at EOU. So she decided that she's got a good job here, so she decided she would just online school.
That's good. What is her job doing?
She's a medical assistant at the clinic,
Awesome.
and he's going to school for speech therapist.
Well, there's a lot of childhood speech therapy needed more than in past generations, just because kids watch a lot of TV and screen time and their parents don't interact with them as much as in the early years.
Yeah, it's one of those. She's always she's always liked kids, you know, I mean, she grew up babysitting and that kind of stuff, and she has always liked working with kids, so she didn't really want to get into teaching, but she still wanted to do something where she was,
Courtney Mullen is really good at that.
yeah, that's
Mentor.
Courtney's
Yeah,
um, profession.
Yeah.
She did the school internship
she did.
with ECC.
Mhm.
You know, shadowing that kind of stuff and working with the kids there at ECC. Her senior
Yes.
year, she did that.
I saved you a row over here. I wasn't sure if. Corey-
You may pick up
those. Okay. good.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
and I think, it looks like our agenda is a little bit lighter than sometimes, so, you can go into as much or little as you choose.
Good to see you.
Yes, sir. You too.
You're looking spiffy,
Thank you.
pretty spiffy.
How are you feeling?
It's dry,
Uh,
but I, you
You
know,
feel better though, a little bit?
I'm glad I just went home, you know,
Yeah.
and rested and.
You were gonna say that?
I need to get, make sure I have some contact information for you, so I can give you a call and talk to you about that
Yep.
franchise stuff.
I've got his phone number, but if they have
Okay.
cards, that's good.
Well, I don't have cards yet, but I'm gonna write my name on the back of this
Okay.
one if I can borrow your pen.
You bet.
Oh,
Here's.
thank you.
And you know, it dawned on me,
Thank you.
pretty sure the company that you're talking about, Jill Parker, who's also on the board. She is on that board. If it's, I wouldn't be surprised if it's the same company. Do you know Jill? Anybody know Jill?
I don't know Jill.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
I thought I knew everyone,
I know.
Susan, but
Yeah, you're letting me.
I did. and You found one I didn't know.
The company is Windwave.
Oh, I know Winwood.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know if she's on.
I know the CEO of Winwood, so I know them well.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'll just email since you gave me a card. So this is Rachel here, and then I'm on the back.
Okay.
That's my cell.
Okay.
And then I'll just email you my contact information.
Okay,
too. So
great.
You got my email.
I'll just to pick your brain a little bit on how we proceed with that.
Yeah.
Would be
Really
great.
appreciate.
Thank you.
your
Oh, sure.
on these other things.
Sure. Happy to help.
No, I assumed that you joined.
Okay.
So. I was gonna also make remarks about it.
How things get done in rural America, we help each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Write that down.
I'll take a look. Yeah, I know. I just was looking at it the other day and I went, oh,
The time goes real fast.
it does. How are you? Enjoying this weather, isn't it? Oh my God, yeah. Yeah. Me too.
Hey Susan, did anything happen with the south end with, the creek that is?
Oh, outboard.
Yeah. Or is that?
Not yet, yeah, not yet. I'm in, Paul calls me, and, yeah, so we've been in
I
discussion,
love
but
that. Where from?
he's got
Oh,
some
I know.
information from his attorney who hasn't been sending it to me, so I don't know. What's about it. Yeah, no, we're still in discussions. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure, yeah. Without even know.
Yeah,
We've got plenty to
we're
do.
trying, I'm trying to work with him. He's livable. So we've got a couple different ideas.
8 degrees.
Stop in bed.
What's that?
Oh, I've got a meeting in Bend on the way home. It's supposed to be 80 degrees in Bend.
It is.
It's the middle
That's
of
crazy.
October. Cool. I know, I know.
You need, although you should be in your out hiking or something.
Although Corval's supposed to be 74 tomorrow, so you know. I'll take it.
Judge, I just texted you my email as well.
Okay,
So
thank you.
you've got my cell and my email now.
And so you would send the presentation. To them, so that we can put it up.
No.
Yeah, because I don't have their contact. For the send it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, we'll do it right now.
Okay.
Okay.
We're gonna send you a presentation.
Okay,
And I didn't forward on, or I didn't, because I think you guys also received it, the comments, from this, now we're going to Crane, switching gears. From, Anderson Perry.
got them last night
Okay.
or yesterday evening,
Okay.
afternoon, whatever. it was.
Yeah,
I
so,
got somebody's book. Was it Anderson Perry's? or was
Yeah.
it- okay.
Brad.
Okay. yeah,
Brad,
I
yeah.
got that.
So my only recommendation would be change his red comments into black. If you're gonna put it up on the
Oh,
website.
okay, we already did. But we can change it.
Oh, okay. I'm just like,
Yeah,
think about it.
I had a few questions that I got answers to and I added them to the bottom
Oh,
of it
perfect.
and then put it all in one document.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I didn't
Uh,
know anything about the whole fire relationship.
Well, that's new.
Yeah.
That's new, just popped up.
Card. But,
Yeah.
Not like it's a bad thing.
No, I mean, it's definitely worth planning for now while the ground's torn up to put in hydrants versus later on going in and doing it.
Yeah. Who should I send the presentation to?
You can send it to me.
Okay.
It's bill.hart.
Well, you could copy me.
Okay.
I got it.
Bill?
Yes.
There is some pushback on combining with.
Okay, yeah, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it there at the crane.
All right, Judge, you are in my contact list now.
Thank you.
Fair warning.
I'm gonna do that.
I'm Laura. Took me to Neiman Marcus last time.
No.
No, Nordstrom, I'm sorry. Nordstrom.
I had to help him pick out some spiffy clothes.
Oh.
Including that. Price tag, and bought it anyway.
That's great, yeah.
Yeah, it was fun.
My sister accuses me of that. She said, well, it's so much easier to spend somebody else's money.
Yes, yes, it is.
I haven't done that in so long. I'll confess, she actually took me and we got pedicures together.
His first ever, right?
Ever, first ever.
Oh.
It was fantastic.
That was I.
Oh, my-
Oh, yeah, that's
Funny,
funny.
my
You've
11
got a great gal here in town. Just scrub them up
I'm
before
not
you
your
go in.
typical female. I have not done it, everybody else.
I mean, Army officer, tough guy, Marine. It was fantastic. It was.
You know why I go?
so
I go
awesome.
for the foot massage.
Yeah,
Now that,
That's because I
I
find that
know
to be the
would
most
be good.
relaxing. So my 11-year-old son, now is addicted to pedicures as well.
You know, I
He
never,
gets his nails painted, but he gets the massage. He's like, Mom, when can we go again? I'm like,
I wanted, now they did want to paint my toenails. I'm like, no. There were all giggling.
I figure I'm giving him good skills to be a good boyfriend someday, to take care of his feet. That's right.
Never about those virgins. We're not recording yet.
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are.
Verbally.
Totally. Oh, fun times. Well, there you go.
That's going viral.
You're on record. Did that presentation come through?
Morning. Didn't see you over there,
Thank you.
hiding in the corner. How are you?
That's just fun.
Good.
And it's just a link down below. You know, click into it. Yeah. I wonder if you can do it without the presentation.
It's all time. I mean,
Yeah,
once
it's-
you press go, it goes.
No, that's not what we're supposed to do. It's doing that. Let me see.
I didn't realize Canva put together like PowerPoint.
Hold on, let me just see. Jill, you'll have a public internet here. Jill. Yeah. So when it gets wireless. Okay, so let me send you something that's a little bit easier to deal with here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No question.
Even with hearing aids, I'm still half deaf.
I
So
wanted to check. That's really funny.
that goes to. Let me give you my cell. Okay, so 541-571.
All right, Judge, I'm gonna send you over.
Did you-
Yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
Did you get, do you have Wi-Fi? Are you
I do.
connected?
I have Wi-Fi.
Oh,
so
okay.
just need 1 second. I'll send it right over to you.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't feel like it was gonna pop up as a video. It's just fun. But you know, technology. Just thinking about it. How's your all's connectivity there?
Pretty good. Are you on just a cellular data signal or are you on
No,
a
I'm on your,
Wi-Fi?
yeah, I'm on your Wi-Fi. Like this. So sorry about this.
It's all right. It's 10 o'clock. I think we'll get going. If you, after we take care of the first little part of business, you can try and get that sent to me.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. So good morning, everybody. It is 10 o'clock, Harney County Court, regular session now come to order. If you'll stand, please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And as I stood there and said that pledge, I realized we have representation from the Marine Corps, the United States Air Force, and the U.S. Army.
We do.
For your service.
So thank you all for your service. All right. So we've already taken care of voucher approval, bills payable, agenda approval. I don't have any additions other than at the last minute they did add some correspondence to the agenda. So if anybody out there looked at it prior to this morning, there was one addition to that. And other than that, no other changes for me.
Then I have no changes, so I will move to approve today's agenda.
And I will second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion, opposed? And hearing none, motion carries. And for the record, I mentioned it already a little bit earlier, but for the record, Commissioner Shellman is excused absence today, so it'll just be Commissioner Doro and myself, which constitutes a quorum. Next topic, minutes approval for county court session on October 4th, 2023. I don't have any changes.
No, I think we caught a lot of lengthy discussion and all the other business from last time, so I would move to approve the Harney County Court meeting minutes of October 4th, 2023.
And I will second. Any further discussion? And all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And opposed? And hearing none, motion carries. This morning, normally we would have public comment next. We have a very light agenda. We have visitors from the Southeast Oregon BAT. Is that what SEOBAT? Contractors from Greater Eastern Oregon Development Corporation, and I have a sheet here. And visitors from Rural Prosperity Partners. So because, and I don't intend to not have public comment, but because we do have visitors from out of town, I'm going to entertain that we change the agenda just a little bit, allow them to do their presentation, and then if they need to get to other business somewhere else, they might do that.
And Judge, I would say that that's fine, but there are a couple of people online, and if that's all that's here today without, and you want to do public comment, and it's up to you.
Well, I got a feeling public comment could stretch a little bit.
Okay.
So how long is your presentation, do you think?
Don't rush it.
Yeah, don't rush it, but
15 minutes.
okay.
Oh, is that it? Okay.
Yeah, so let's do that then. So were you able to send it?
Yes.
Okay,
Fingers crossed.
okay.
But then I'll be talking afterwards. So. Maybe.
I don't see anything.
Kristen's not here.
Maybe check your spam filter. It's the first time you're getting.
So,
We can use the one that you do have. You'll just have to click on it to pause it.
Okay.
Slide. That's totally fine. Susan, you're the
So let me, but before we get going on that, let me try and share this screen so that it is visible to people online. Share screen. I think I did it.
yes, sir.
Did.
All right. You want me to start it or you want to start?
Yeah, I'll start. Do I need to come up here or?
However you'd like. If you're up here, then you'll be in the camera,
Oh,
or I can move the camera.
Yeah.
Actually, let me just move the camera.
All right.
okay.
And we'll just make sure that there's. We can hear you.
Okay, great. Good
There you
morning,
go.
Judge Hart and Commissioner Doro. Susan Christensen, for the record, Susan Christensen with Greater Eastern Oregon Development Corporation, Executive Director. We serve 7 Eastern Oregon counties, including Harney County, which we provide services with small business loans and grant writing, grant administration. We have, Patty and I had a discussion, probably about a year ago, when I realized that a lot of the communities that I serve, the broadband was not really being addressed. In some communities were taking it upon themselves. For example, Morrow County, they had taken the steps on their own in establishing a broadband action team. And so Patty and I met, and I said, Patty, you know what? I feel like I'm dropping the ball here. I need to get you guys up and running with broadband. So Patty and I met a few times, and then I brought Rural Prosperity Partners on as a contractor to provide the broadband services, that broadband action team type services. Because that's not an expertise that I have. So I was thrilled to be able to bring on Rachel and her team. And so from here, I'd like to turn it over to allow Rachel to explain what they've been doing and where they're at today as an update for the record.
Thank you, Commissioner Grow and Judge Hart for having us here. For the record, I am Rachel Maddox Hughes, the CEO of Rural Prosperity Partners, and I want to thank Susan for bringing us in this beautiful part of the state and to help you guys work on these projects. So, Judge, if you want to go ahead and hit play. I'll just say pause. We're going to go into a little bit about the agenda for today's presentation. Go ahead and pause that if you don't mind. So today I'll cover a tiny bit about who we are, what we do, the opportunity around broadband, what our role is and how we're positioning Harney County for funding, what a broadband action team is, what a rapid design study is, and how that is helping the county move forward and what it's looking like in terms of the next steps. And we will also talk about what it's going to cost to actually fund the digital divide that exists in Harney County. Thanks. Go ahead. Pause that. You get to be my Vanna White today.
That's fine.
So
Whatever I can help.
Rural Prosperity Partners, some of you all might know us from our previous name, which was Sequoia Consulting. We're a technical assistance firm focused on serving rural and frontier jurisdictions. And basically just helping communities secure state and federal funding and launch new projects. And we work directly with communities, but we also work as well with funding agencies to bring some of our services at scale, basically. So we can go ahead and keep going. Let them play through. We've got a bunch of experience, got telecommunications, project development experience, community engagement experience, and you can pause it there. And so one of the things that we bring to the table is
there we go. Oh,
I'm gonna have to drag it back.
Drag it back. There we go.
So we've been working in broadband since the beginning of the pandemic and the beginning of our firm, but our firm has a lot of more experience than that in broadband. So we have Joe on our team who has over 30 years of telecommunications experience. I came into the field with almost a decade of digital inclusion experience as well. And so we've really been hoping to support communities as they went through the pandemic and everyone realized how important broadband was to just daily functioning. And so we help run broadband action teams across the state. We also have been involved in some statewide mapping initiatives, and we lead the leadership of a broadband action team statewide as well. So the reason why we're here and focused on broadband right now is because of the funding opportunity. It is a generational investment in broadband happening right now. We have up to close to $1 billion being coming down to the state of Oregon alone. That's a lot of money. We're never going to see this again. So if we don't get it right now, we're shooting ourselves in the foot. And I think that's particularly true for rural communities who have the highest number of underserved and unserved locations across the state. So just so you guys know, there's three pots of funding you really need to pay attention to. It's the top three. The first one is Oregon's Broadband's Technical Assistance Program. This is a smaller pot of funding, comes from the Universal Service Fund, and it's about helping communities plan for and staff up for this broadband work. The second pot of funding is coming from ARPA dollars. It's called the Broadband Deployment Program, and that is infrastructure. So technical assistance, not infrastructure. This one, infrastructure. And that is scheduled to hit in terms of opening up at end of this year, early next. The largest pot of funding is what we call BEAD funding. It's broadband. Oh gosh, I use the acronym so often I forget what it stands for.
See, I've just spaced it.
Equity,
Advancement, deployment.
yeah, something like that. It's the big pot. So that's about $688 million for the state. So it's really important, and this is why we're working on broadband now, is to make sure you all get your slice of the pie. Judge, if you could go forward, please. And you can pause there. So this slide says, you know, how to position yourself for funding. Oops. And it is one and the same with basically what our scope of work is. And so for rural communities to secure funding, our recommendations are you establish a broadband action team, and I'll tell you all a little bit about that if you're not familiar in a moment. Have a feasibility or what we call a rapid design study, prioritize project areas, identify your partners, and figure out what your role is in all of this, and then develop applications. So we are contracted through Greater Eastern Oregon Development Corporation to help you with all of these pieces. So moving forward.
It was broadband equity access and deployment. You were right. So
Access.
Thank you.
access and yeah.
Okay, we can pause that. Oh, I think you already had it paused. There we go. So broadband action teams are at the heart like community-based collaborations, and they usually include cities, counties, your economic development districts, education representatives with schools or educational service districts, healthcare representatives, because telehealth is a whole thing, especially out here when you don't want to drive 5 hours to an appointment. Internet service providers, because those public-private partnerships are important. And then representation from various funding agencies, especially the state agency of the Oregon Broadband Office. And so the point of a broadband action team is to educate, collaborate, connect you all the resources, identify projects, and move this stuff forward. So go ahead and move that forward. Okay, so rapid design studies are really important. At the beginning of all of this, the pandemic and the need for broadband, people are like, well, where do we start? How do we know what to do? Because like this is not a conversation that most jurisdictions ever were involved in. It was mostly led by internet service providers. And so unfortunately, there was a lot of predatory behavior in the beginning of this and getting people feasibility studies that we would consider shelfies and didn't get you where you need to be.
Define a shelfie.
Shelfies, a report that sits on a shelf. So what we actually have is we work with a tool called a rapid design study. It is a living tool, and I will show you in just a little bit about what that actually looks like. Pardon me. But it is living, it is responsive, it gives you high-level infrastructure design for projects. Where are you going to get fiber? Where are you going to need to have fixed wireless? How much is it going to cost? What can you do to entice your internet service providers to come in? And most importantly, right now, it looks at your projected BEAD allocation at the state level. And that's going to be really important for you all. We can move forward. So this is the unsexy website that is your rapid design study, basically. So each of those underlined areas is a link or a downloadable document. And there is so much information in all this. I'm only going to go through kind of the high level. But again, going back to the fact that this is living and responsive, these items change and are updated based on new releases of data and information from the FCC, new releases of information from Ookla, which is another like data source for this information. So it gets updated through this website. Go ahead and push pause or play, please. Okay, this is important. So this is your, and I can't quite see up in the upper right-hand corner, but this is what your BEAD allocation looks like. This is a visual representation of where you all qualify. And you can see up in the upper right-hand corner, it says BSLs, total BSLs. That means total broadband serviceable locations. And that is according to the FCC's mapping data. So again, this is not, if you want to qualify for this funding, you have to use the right data. There's issues with the FCC's data about how accurate it is, but that's being improved as we speak. So your projected allocation, if we didn't take into account your rurality, your high cost areas, and your socially vulnerable community areas, which are all qualifying criteria under this funding pot, your allocation at the state is about $6.5 million. I can tell you that's not enough to get it done. However, I've circled, as you guys see, the NTIA high, which means NTIA high cost. This means it costs a heck of a lot more to connect each house than it does in a different area. And the socially vulnerable communities, or SVC, is a poverty indicator. And so when we click those two items, your entire county lights up. For high cost, got a lot of lower to moderate income folks who
And that's
qualify.
high cost to
Bill.
build
To
it, build
correct.
it.
Yes, ma'am.
Which means that you all should be getting more than the $6.5 million we are proportionally allocating. So, because they know that there's high cost areas, they know that there's socially vulnerable communities, those are priority areas. So we don't exactly know how much additional allocation that is going to mean, but we are hopeful that it will bring in more funding for you.
So does the red areas on the map next to it, does that represent, when you say lights up, is that what?
This means that, so those areas are census blocks, I think census blocks or census tracts, I always get the two messed up. But it essentially is looking at the broadband serviceable locations within each of those census areas and saying they are proportionally high cost and proportionally socially vulnerable communities. There's a lot of algorithms and data behind all of these that we have some partners that we work with to provide this. They're Breaking Point Solutions. They're a great team. So, okay, let's see if we can go ahead.
While we're advancing, I'll say I've been in this business. She said a long time. She said 30 years. It seems like 300 years. I was there when they rang the first telephone. But no, I'm kidding. This tool is the most impactful, most effective, most actionable tool by far I have ever seen in my entire professional career. So we are really pleased to be able to bring this to Harney County.
That previous slide?
Yeah.
Well,
That's
this is
the whole
part of
tool,
I
it.
mean,
the rapid
if-
design
if-
study.
If you
rapid
had been
design.
available yesterday to be at our mat, the Breaking Point Solutions
Mhm.
folks that, you know, that actually put this together and have been doing these things for a long time were the voice and going through and clicking on some of these areas and explaining them and saying how they can change and just
Mhm.
talking. So if the recording of
We
that,
did, we recorded.
then that I would really like you and Commissioner Shellman to see it as well at some point. So it'd be
We'll
great
get
if
that
we could,
over.
yeah, because they're not gonna go through all that today, but it's really, yeah, very.
And it, obviously, since you engaged us, this is your tool. So,
Yes.
we could literally, these are screen captures. We could.
Well,
give you
actually, you gave me
access,
I
how to
do,
log in.
Yeah,
You
to
sent me
the
that last
tool.
night.
You could go in and start playing with it.
Yeah.
Right.
Looking at the data yourself.
I just like how Glenn explained it.
Well, and so you all have access to this tool. You are licensed to use this. You are licensed to provide this to other partners in the county. So we had at our broadband action team meeting yesterday, an internet service provider, MyWave, so one of the things that this tool provides is it actually provides a list of those thousands of broadband serviceable locations and their coordinates. And the MyWave representative was literally turned to commissioner and said, oh my gosh, can I please have this list? This is going to save me hours and hours of time. So it's useful not just for the county, it's useful for your partners as well. So it's important.
Yeah. Now there's some licensing agreement. So, when we give you access, don't just give access.
Right, I want your advice on that.
Right.
There's a contract.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty straightforward.
Yeah. So what it does at the end of the day is it looks at various solutions to your broadband gaps. It goes from everything from, almost 100% fiber to 100% wireless. Guess what? The fixed wireless is the cheapest, but we know that's not as future-proof as fiber. So you'll see 6 up here. That is the number of scenarios that they have worked through. We look at the percentage of fiber up there on the upper left, to the total cost over on the upper right, to the cost per household, and then debt service has to do with basically how much your ISP is going to make at the end of the day, and what we need to make sure that it also hits in case, a municipality was, say, footing the bill for this, which you guys don't want to do, I understand, and I understand lots of reasons why. Most municipalities are not there. Go ahead and push play, please. Okay, pause this. So this is a really complicated, so I've actually taken screenshots. They're not as lined up as, you know, what they are in the actual full Excel document. But this is, again, when you look at A, B, C, D, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Those are those scenarios, the planning scenarios that we've looked at. The one that's highlighted in green is the one that they think is most likely to get you as close to where we're going to be. I will say this, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news. Every community, every household in your county is not going to have broadband, fiber. If they can get broadband, but some of them are going to have satellite. They're going to have to do Starlink. It's just the cost. So when we're looking at option number 4, you can see that the you know, we're looking at the middle there that's circled in blue. It says, so the coverage rate is about 21% fiber and 33% fixed wireless, getting to about 54% coverage. That's not as high as we would like to see. If you get additional allocations, then you might be able to toggle somewhere between the 4th and 5th scenarios, getting you closer to 80% coverage. Okay, and when I say coverage, I mean fixed wireless or fiber. And still get the rest of the folks connected up with, you know, Starlink. So, you know, and it also looks at down at the bottom row, you're looking at your BEAD allocation funding and what we think with a little bit more than, you know, with hopefully higher allocation, what you all can get. So these numbers are all adjustable. Everything in here, all of the background information that says, you know, they're estimating this based on a specific cost per mile that they, so our team with Breaking Point Solutions talked to local internet service providers to get those numbers to make sure it's accurate, because it varies so much across state, across territory. Do you have trees, no trees? Do you have bedrock, or do you use some gravel, etc.? So it's all adjustable, and it's a great tool for also your internet service provider partners who may not, especially the smaller folks and the independent internet service providers who may not have a huge amount of capacity internally. This can be a tool for them to help them move things forward.
So of the 3 pots of money that you highlighted at the beginning, those obviously the first one is kind of phase 1 money. And then the other ones, as you get through those, is the big chunk of money is the construction part of it, right? Yeah. So at what point, I mean, like I kind of envision this right now as like we're making our point for Harney County as to what we need, what our needs are. So at what point is the county, or where is the deadline for the state when they're going to say, okay, this is what each county is going to get divvied up?
It's a little bit right now. It's a little bit TBD. So there is a lot of things that have held up getting this money out. Okay, so one of them was the mechanism for where the funding flows through, which is called the broadband fund, had to be adjusted so that the feds were saying it's aligned enough with their rules and regulations for us to send money to the
And
state.
she's talking about the state. You may recall or not, at last session, legislative session, I remember commissioners on some of the meetings I attend, they were saying, you know, is the legislature going to fix it so we can get the money? And they did.
They did, and there was
Right.
also some advocacy. There was a lot of advocacy that happened from the broadband action teams to make that fund actually community friendly and particularly rural friendly.
Yep.
So that broadband fund is right now, it's a what's the term? NPRM.
Notice proposed rulemaking.
Thank you. Notice that the proposed rulemaking is out there right now to finalize that fund. Once that is finalized, which is I think it's October 26th,
26, yeah.
then they are going to be able to open things up. Well, whether they do right away or not, or it's sometimes towards the end of this year. So the technical assistance pot will open up first. We expect that to probably open up before the end of the year, we hope. The broadband deployment program, the 157 million first pot of infrastructure, end of this year, early next. BEAD funding, the biggest pot, not going to open up for anyone to even think about it until middle or late next year. So that's kind of what we're looking at. This is a, you know, especially with actual time to build out, this is at minimum 5 years that we're looking at over 5 to 10 years realistically, if you also include digital inclusion.
You know, the bead, I mean, we're just doing comments now on rulemaking for the proposal. And well, it's not even rulemaking, it's for our proposal as a state to the NTIA at the federal level, just on volume 1. So so they've got, I think, 3 volumes of proposals on how they're going to manage the big pot of money coming from the NTIA. And so that comment period is open right now just for volume 1 until the 20th. And so, you know, there's still a lot of work to be done to get approval from the NTIA to actually receive the funds into the broadband fund, which is what closed on the 26th.
And Rachel and Joe are, you know, they've been in this business for a long time. They've served on, what are some of the state level committees and things that you're on or used to be?
I chaired the State Broadband Advisory Council for the legislature and the governor's office for 12 years. I was on the council for 13 years. The first year I was the vice chair. And then they made me chair and they wouldn't let me off. But so I just came off of that position off that council last year.
And Rachel, are you on the state bat?
Yes, our team leads the State Broadband Action Team Leadership Group.
So we have some super awesome contractors here that know a lot and advise us well.
Well, we're both very passionate about it, and yeah, it's exciting. So, okay.
Let's see, before, you know, how would we have any idea what would be reasonable for us to go for? And then, you know, let alone to even begin to develop projects that make sense and prioritize them.
Okay. So these are the recommendations that have, and the key points that have come out of the rapid design study. So again, we talked about, you guys have super low density, right? Not rural, kind of frontier at this point, right? So all of these things, and the fact that you have 34% of your community in what they consider socially vulnerable areas, and 3/4 of your county are high cost, that basically makes 100% of your county like priority. So there's 2 major things here that I think we need to do to make sure you guys get your allocation. So one is, we've outlined a couple of internet service providers who either have fiber or are planning to build out fiber here. And so it's about a conversation with them saying, how can we work together? Because for a lot of these applications, having public-private partnerships gets you more points. So how can you guys make sure you're going to get the best service? We'll help facilitate these conversations. How can you support the ISPs or vice versa? But then the next and most important piece on this is that it's a political question. So you all need to advocate for yourselves at the state level. It can't come from us because, you know, we're just a consulting firm, but you need to go to the state, your elected representatives, Oregon Broadband Office, and say, we hit all of these high criteria. How are you going to be allocating money to us? And don't forget about us. And then we just squeaky wheel it, right? So, because it really is like, because the Oregon Broadband Office, and you know, they do a great job with their staff. They were at 3 years ago, less than 3 years ago, 1 person. They now have
that was the whole broadband.
I know they now have 9 people, and they're still you know, way understaffed, but they're doing their best. They're great folks. Your regional representative is Seth Thompson. He's very knowledgeable and very helpful.
And I'm pleased to say that Seth has visited us here and been at county court. And Nick Batts, when he did the listening and outreach, you know, I met with him and then was there for the outreach. And so, yeah, they're good people.
They are good people. So again, it's having conversations with them, having conversations with your elected officials to say, we need you to be the squeaky wheel on this. And hey, Oregon Broadband Office, we really need you to make sure that you're allocating enough to these high needs criteria that we're going to actually get our fair share and be able to address this project. Now, I will also tell you as well, so if you don't get the allocation that you really hope for, there are solutions in this rapid design study that have a higher amount of fixed wireless, which is a lot cheaper. So you can still get most of your population connected, even if you don't get the allocation to do as much fiber as you want. So there is always going to be a solution. It's just which solution.
That's good. to know.
That's it.
Questions?
Questions? Sorry, that was a little more than 15 minutes.
I have a question that's around for, we are gonna have people whose only way to be connected might be Starlink, satellite or whatever. And I know none of this funding covers satellite options, right?
Correct.
But would those individual homes or clients be able to get some financial assistance through the ACP, the Affordable Connectivity Program, or something else? If there's no way that they can do anything else, will there be a way for them to?
When you look at the socially vulnerable, coverage, which that's mostly a poverty indicator. One of the qualifiers for the Affordable Connectivity Program, and for those who don't know what that is, we call it the ACP. It's a federal program that helps, it's subsidized broadband connectivity for households who meet certain criteria. And a certain percentage of poverty is one of those where there's a website you have to go in, fill out all the information. The internet service provider can't do that for you. You have to do it for yourself. And we've talked about at the Broadband Action Team actually maybe having people at the library or at one of the health clinics or something who can help people navigate that program online, because it is a little challenging to get qualified. If you have school age children and they qualify for low or reduced or free lunch program at school, sorry about that, then that household qualifies for the ACP. It's $35 a month. In high cost areas, and this is where this high cost thing is, the ISP can actually apply because it's high cost to provide the service there. The ISP can apply to the FCC to have that rate raised to $75 a month subsidy.
Which is huge.
That's remarkable, and so it can be really transformative. So we're one of the things the Broadband Action Team is talking about is advocacy and information, getting information, marketing, if you want to use that word, the ACP program, so people know about it, because most people don't even know about this program. And so we're hopeful that.
I don't believe Starlink is covered under the ACP.
No, but fixed wireless would be.
Fixed wireless is. So if you wanted to go for a solution that's more fixed wireless, then they're gonna qualify for that.
And it's the service provider. So, and we know MyWave just got qualified, so they're they're an ACP authorized.
I was just
ISP.
curious because I know there's going to be some
Right.
that
And Starlink
can't afford Starlink.
Yeah.
When all this is done, may not even be able to be fixed wireless, connected. And they might be the kind of folks that they would love to be because they can't get out much, or they can't, it's so hard to drive or whatever. Just a question, because there probably won't be a lot of in sheer numbers of places and people that,
Right.
but we're going to be one of those places going to have some of those.
Yeah, and I actually just wanted to pull this up for a second. I'm looking at your coverage rates. This is the nice thing about this tool is if you find out what your allocation is for the fall short, we can go back to the team that we work with and say, now we know this number. Let's adjust this and see how much more coverage you can get with fixed wireless.
Yeah.
And you can then have a conversation with the ISP partners and say, this is what we're seeing. Is this what you guys can do?
Yeah, awesome. Yeah.
Automation.
Anything else?
It's a daunting task. Long process involved. Happy to have you on board and helping Harney County, the expertise that you bring to the table. So thank you very much.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, thank you very
And
much.
they were the ones that recommended, because these broadband action team meetings are by Zoom, and they're a certain, day of the month at 9 a.m. But they asked, would you like us to come out and do an in-person one? And I was like, yes. And one of the challenges and things that I'll be working on is our broadband action team with our local people. We want to get even more to the table regularly, you know, I'm sure they're all busy and, you know, but on that affordable connectivity program, you know, I'll really specifically reach out. They're always invited to all these, as you know, but the library, the Harney ESD and the schools, you know, the hospital, they have a rep, but I've never seen them attend yet. You know, these are the kind of things. I'm finished.
And we talked, Commissioner Jordan and I talked yesterday about having a subgroup of folks working on more of the digital equity piece. Because the technicality of some of the infrastructure is very overwhelming for people just stepping into the field. And it might make them feel like, well, I don't have a role here, as kind of what you were saying. So we're talking about
Right.
getting together a group of folks who's like, hey, let's work on the affordability piece, let's work on the skills-based piece. And I just want to say too, a huge thank you to Commissioner Duro for being such a champion for broadband in your county. You are making our job so much easier.
Yes.
And you are just a force in pulling this together. So thank you.
I enjoyed this because we need it and it's hard and you guys make it doable for us. We wouldn't, otherwise, we wouldn't have a bat. So.
Yeah, the rapid design study, I have to say, this is the first time I've seen one. And it's phenomenal what it does and just how you can manipulate the information and be able to have that subcommittee and say, you know, where are, you know, what's the best route? Is it the fixed or is it, you know, which route is best? And even I'm guessing that it can maybe identify who won't qualify for anything and that who will be the Starlinks. Is that possible?
Yes, most likely. I'd have to dig into it a little bit, but we can probably get there.
Because then we can maybe the county can maybe come up with some other solutions to support those that are only Starlink.
I mean, there are
from an
people-
equity
Right,
standpoint.
some people have Starlink, but we also know that those rates can go up and up over time
Yes.
as well. And yeah, no, thank you. I just jumped ahead on that one just because I thought I bet ACP wouldn't cover it, but
Well, it
No
may
doubt.
be from an equity standpoint, something that you'll work on yourselves, or you bring in also private philanthropy to say, hey, we want to put aside a small fund for the community members who struggle because of poverty issues and location. Can you help us with that? So.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate you.
Thank you
having
for
us.
coming out to Harney County.
It was fun. I want to do it again.
I agree.
Well, share and spread the word about Harney County.
Yes, sir.
It's a good place to visit and
It is.
spend some time.
We pulled out from the hotel to go to dinner the other night, and you know, it's the main highway going through town, and I was like, oh gosh, we got to turn left, and the traffic was so terrible. I think there were 3 cars going by. It was awesome.
I know,
I
we love
loved it.
that.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Safe travels. Thank you.
I'm gonna stay here and wait for Tori. Yes. Good to see you. Bye.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for that, allowing us to change up the agenda so that we could accommodate our visitors. So that will take us back then. We will go back to public comment. Any public comment here in the room? We'll start with the room first.
I guess one question I had, and I should have asked while they were still here, is the fixed, they were talking about the broadband taking what, 5 to 10 years approximately?
Potentially.
Is the fixed wireless gonna take as long?
I would guess the whole process. Yeah,
Process would take
probably the whole, yeah, the whole process.
The whole build out of it.
If the providers that wanted to do it or won the bid to do it had all their stuff, my guess is it probably wouldn't take as long if they had the freedom, just because it is easier than putting in fiber.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Can you say your name for the record? Oh, Christine Stokely.
Any other comments in the room?
I just like to say that I like the idea that the comments are afterwards, and then that way people can make comments about things that are presented in the meeting.
And we may look at that. I think traditionally the format has been upfront to beginning. But we may look at that. Take a look at maybe changing it around a little bit. The one thing I have to mention though with public comment though, we welcome public comment, but and after the fact might be better for people to be able to speak to the topics that were addressed. But it's an address to the court and still not a debate or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. So anybody on Zoom that would like to any public comments? If you want to unmute and have any comments. Not hearing any. So the only other topic we have then on the agenda is old business appointment of board member for biomass discussion. And I just put that on there because we need to, and I know we probably won't want to make a decision until Commissioner Shellman is back, but I just think that, you know, if we can keep that topic going and discuss potential appointments that we might want to, you know, whether it's a county employee or if we want to search out a industry member, a business member in the county, whatever that may look like.
And I want to thank you for getting involved in that, in the biomass group. And I wonder, since you have now been attending those meetings regularly, you know, I'm definitely open to whatever your recommendations are. You know, you provide the kind of the executive level, as will the school district, and then the other person. When we have that discussion and move forward, you know, I'm going to be pretty open to recommendations.
Okay. I guess just as a little update, we've had a couple of board meetings. I have another one scheduled for the 24th of this month. We're working out processes and procedures, roles and responsibilities for that board and who's going to make the calls to order fuel or whatever, right down the nuts and bolts of it. We do have a visitor coming this next week. Representative for Senator Merkley's office is going to be there, and it'll be good. We'll keep them informed of what we're doing for our biomass program. That's you know, it's zero emissions, so it's creating energy that's zero carbon. I guess I don't understand all that world all that well, but if it's zero emissions, I would say it's zero carbon footprint. So. But anyway, so I think it has lots of potential, lots of promise for that program, that the biomass boiler over there. It's kind of exciting.
Right. So when Senator Merkley's field rep Jessica Keys comes, she is much younger than me. However, we are both University of North Carolina Tar Heels. So yes. So I remember.
Is that an open public meeting on October 24th?
You know, they should be, because it is a intergovernmental agency that was formed by the school and the county, so they should be open to the public. We haven't kind of really gotten to that point yet as to how we want to, but I would say at the moment and for the meantime, at least people should be able to attend and hear what's going on. As far as how we work out as for comments and everything on that, half the board needs to work that out, I think. But as an agency or an entity that was formed by two governmental entities by an IGA, I would say it should be public meetings.
Okay.
Would be my guess.
Always my preference.
Yeah. Yep. So that's, well, I guess we can move on down the road here. Public water notices are the next item on the agenda. It's like a transfer, couple of transfers, 3 transfers.
I always look at them, but there's nothing for us to do except be aware. Be
Yeah,
aware
I
that the
really-
state
yeah.
does its stuff, not us.
It's just more for the record.
There should be less and less. There are less and less as the years have gone by.
Actually, it looks like throughout the whole report, because those are the only three for Harney County, but if you look at it, it's Lake County, Umatilla County, Clackamas, Mount Here, Clackamas Lake, and most of them on this report are transfers.
And back in 2017, which was my first year on the board, looked a lot different. There was a whole lot of Harney County stuff in the pipeline back then. Of course, the moratorium for new permitting had been placed, but there was a lot were in the system. And now we're getting kind of toward the end of that.
Next topic, correspondence. First item is the Harney Basin Fall 2023 quarterly groundwater level measurement at selected well schedule. These are all on the packet, the court packet for people's review. If you're so interested, so I'm not gonna read them verbatim or anything. And then the next one is analysis of actions, South Ridge, Bully Creek, and North Ridge, Bully Creek key research natural areas. These are EAs that the Bureau of Land Management conducted as amendments to the Sage Grouse Resource Management Plan. We have submitted via our county council comments to be considered during the comment period for the environmental assessment that was conducted on these areas. And some of them are some of these EAs were done here in Harney County. Some of them were done in Mount Here County, but they affect grazing rights. And we have permittees that might live in Mount Here County that have permits in Harney County and vice versa. So that's why we felt it necessary to make sure that Harney County put its comments in to our neighbors, and it affects each other across the border. So that's why we submitted comments to those. And then the last item of correspondence is an email from Harney County Fair Board.
A letter.
Email letter. From Harney County Fair Board member Pat Horlicker in regards to the discussion we had last Harney County court. I'm not going to read it verbatim. It's in the package, but I wanted to include it as part of the record that we received it from him, and we'll work on conversations of these topics going forward. And scheduling, next topic.
Okay.
Next county,
Go ahead.
next county court, regular court. Well, I'll back up. Meeting schedule, public listening session for the Crane Water Sewer District Authority. It was October 19th. 2023 at 6 p.m. at the Crane Elementary School multipurpose room. This will be the second session for this. We had one already. It was the initial hearing by statute that we had to have, and it was determined that there's no real time to be in a rush to go from the initial hearing to the final hearing. We wanted everybody to be as informed as possible in the Crane area for this potential development. So we scheduled this second listening session. We will have members from Biz Oregon. I believe Susan Christensen, GEODC, is planning on being there, and some other technical visitors that can answer questions in regards to this process. We did also, based on the first session, there was some questions that the community, the people who did attend, that they had. So we put those together in a Q&A and posted them on the county website under this topic. So those questions and answers are on there. We'll probably go over them maybe in person Thursday evening, but they are on there for people to look at. And if they generates any other questions, that's good. That's what they're for. Or if they need clarification, whatever. So we're working on that. That's coming. And then regular court dates, November 1st and November 22nd. And you'll notice that November 22nd date, because the third Wednesday of the month, we will be at the Association of Oregon Counties annual conference. And that's when normally our county court session would be. So we moved it to the following Wednesday, which also coincides with our requirement for move the Oregon border every 4-month mandatory meeting that we have to have. So we just move it to the following week, and we'll do both hearings, or have our county court and the other hearing at the same time.
Let's see. For October, I think we mentioned it at last court meeting, but October 24th is going to be the Blues, the Blue Mountain Intergovernmental Council is going to be meeting here in Burns. Usually it's other places from noon to 3 that day. And then at 4:30 that day, the Forest Plan Assessment Open House in Hines goes from 4:30 to 7 or thereabouts. Those are some things that are going on. So,
Is that Blue Mountain Inter Council, is that here?
yeah,
It'll be at the Forest Service.
only been here once before over the years. Yeah, a few years ago, when I was way active in it. Yeah.
Yeah, at the Forest Service
At the
office
Forest
in Hines.
Okay.
Set it for events coming up, schedule.
I think so. Yes.
So then that would take us late items. We didn't have any late items. General deliberation by the court. Decisions will not be made. This is just our time to be able to converse and talk about topics or update each other on whatever. Do you have anything, Commissioner Doyle?
No, I really have been outside of these meetings working on the broadband stuff a lot, and I really value the quality of the contractors we have. It's gonna come along as best we can, and we're gonna know how to approach things and what's doable, what's not. I don't have unrealistic expectations, but I would hate for Harney County not to have done what we can for our people on this topic. And you have to take the initiative to do it. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that we are doing it. We tried to get Malheur County to be part of, we named our broadband action team Southeast Oregon Broadband Action Team, COBAT, just in case, leave that door open for them to, should they next year go, oh gosh, we need to do something. Well, we've got some expertise, and then they can help pay, for the technical assistance, and a lot of lessons learned are already there for them. So anyway, at this point, I'm not, with the rapid design study, they sent me the access, and we'll be seeing some licensed stuff that'll probably come before us in the future. And I'm going to play around with that. They told me, I'm thinking that, of course, our GIS guy, Mertz, he will be one of the people that should also have access. We can all talk about this in the next meeting, whatever. And Brandon McMullen, our planning director, who is part of the BAT, he said he probably didn't need it so much as long as Bryce Mertz is on it. And then maybe Ryan Bailey, our economic development guy. He's been attending, and while he's been more quiet at these meetings, he's got a lot of capacity to do a lot of stuff as well. That's just my thought. We can all think about how we want to manage that.
We started this process a little behind the curve. Where would you say we are at? Are we kind of up to speed with other counties
Yes,
now?
Amazingly, probably at least 2 years ago, at the state level, I'm hearing all this stuff, and the AOC conference, they have a session on it, and it's like, not everybody, but it seemed like everybody's already got these FATs going, you've got these things going. So I would zoom into some of the other ones. Morrow County's FAT, the one that Lakeview and Plymouth County combined for one. And, the ones I zoomed into, I was like, these are very technical, these are contractors leading the meeting. And, but there just wasn't the readiness yet at the county court level until, this past year. And I kept saying, save some of those ARPA funds for we're gonna need to pay for some assistance to make this happen. So I appreciate that.
And I was gonna ask, in these funds that have come, the technical assistance funds that will be coming available, the technical. I think that's what that first group was technical.
BTAP, yes, broadband technical assistance.
Yeah. So in those funds, will there be an opportunity to recoup the funds that we've expended initially?
Well, you
mean,
never know
sometimes-
anything till the ink is dry,
Yeah.
but the best guess is that if you are a qualified applicant, you might be able to get 150,000. And, if you can look at it as recouping or just now additional money for the next year's technical, definitely. So that would more than pay for this whole year that we're already paying for. And, I really like what I heard about how we can try to think we want to go for the higher fiber thing, but if there's just not going to be the money, and we're not going to have the money, unfortunately, to contribute from our general fund, then we can adapt our approach. And realistically, I never thought we would do tons of fiber, but if so, that's great. But it's
That's good. It's exciting too. The potential that brings with it, in having the higher speed broadband speeds, and the economic development that could be an offshoot from that. If there's a developer looking at our area, one of the things they want to know is what's it like to communicate. So
and our remote, our rural communities, just for their quality of life.
yes,
I mean, as the price of gas and everything continues to challenge us all, and we're gonna want to be able to not have to drive if they can accomplish some of the stuff they need to accomplish. Yeah, I'm excited because you could see they're good folks, and I think we're getting good advice.
I already kind of mentioned the biomass topic, so I really don't have anything else myself bring to a discussion either. If there's nothing else, then county court will stand adjourned at what time is it? 11? Right at the 11 o'clock.
This is a record.
11 o'clock. Thank you, everybody online for attending and everybody in person here. So thank you very much and have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You had mentioned about a